Today's video, how to build a small hexagon stand out of 2x2s that can hold up a 55-gallon drum full of water. I dreamed this stand up last fall in about 5 minutes. Had some extra scrap pieces laying around, so I decided to put this thing together like this. All it is basically 2 hexagon rings with uprights connecting them. And it's actually pretty sturdy, but it racks a little bit and stuff like that, so we're going to add a bunch of things on here using some other scrap plywood, and we're going to stiffen this thing up dramatically and make it hold quite a bit more weight. To make the bottom and top rings, you cut 11-inch pieces per side, so 11 inches corner to corner, and we're going to put 30-degree angles on these. The main uprights are 17 inches tall. This makes a good comfortable size, comfortable height to put underneath a 55-gallon drum. Any bigger than this and it's going to stick out from under the drum. Any smaller and it won't support the edges properly. And I'm going to do some Amish style cutting today of all these things. So what you do is you mark out your 11 inches, and I'm going to use this Japanese saw guide. It's got a little bracket on the bottom there. Allows you to slide along your wood, and all you do is get it set up near your line. Take a Japanese handsaw, and you just adjust the disc up and down to hold the blade of the saw while you're cutting, so it gives you a nice straight cut, as long as you can hold it tight enough, that is. And the guide makes a nice straight cut. These saw guides can swivel too, to go ahead and set your angle cuts. And this is the deluxe model, so it also has vertical adjustments too, so you can cut plywood at angles. Does a really good job. Quick tip, if you have one of these new style plastic tables where things slide around a little bit, make yourself a jig like this. This is made out of a 2x6 with a little piece of 2x2 glued and then screwed into it. When you want to cut angles or just straight, set your wood on here, take your Japanese saw guide, and set the rear block about where you would put your hand. This way you can grab like that, and the tool won't skate around, it won't move all over the table, and you can just easily cut your small pieces of wood like this. It would work for 2x4s also. Once you've got 12 of these pieces cut, 11 inches tip to tip, 30-degree angles on there, you're ready to put this together into 2 hexagons. If you've done your cutting right, the pieces should fit together really, really tight with almost no gaps. This will get you a perfect hexagon. Now, a couple things you can do at this point. If you want, and you have a hot glue gun like this and some of these amber woodworking hot glue sticks, you can go ahead and just glue each of these pieces together, or do one at a time and then put a screw in here just to physically hold it together a little better than the glue. The glue makes it really nice and rigid. That puts everything together and the screws don't loosen up. You don't even get any twisting or anything like that. It almost acts like it's one piece. If you have time to wait or can't find the glue, you can go ahead and use like Titebond 3, some waterproof wood glue or whatever. Squirt a little bit on there, put the pieces together, and then go ahead and put your screws in, carefully, and you'll be set. I like the hot glue because it glues in seconds, and then you don't have to worry about holding it while drilling into here with the screws. The screws I use for this kind of work are Spax self-drilling screws. I usually use number 9s in 2.5-inch length, and you can get these at Home Depot. The Spax have little teeth on the tips. I don't know if you can see this, but they start themselves and go in without splitting the wood. So you can use even the number 9 size in small wood like this, like these 2x2s. So these are perfect. They're well worth the money to get at Home Depot. They're about $8 a box. Go ahead and take your pieces. Put some glue on. Stick them together. The glue sets up almost instantly. See, this is nice and tough. Sometimes if you get a little too close to the edge, you'll get a little bit of splitting. Normally I try and aim a little more back here. But you can see these Spax sink the heads in almost automatically. They have a little cutter underneath there, like built into the area right above the threads, and they kind of countersink themselves. So these make for a nice neat job. Your cordless tool doesn't even have to work very hard to put these in, so it saves on batteries. Once you get one ring together, this is the time to go ahead and maybe hit the edges with a sander a little bit, something like that, if you feel like it. And we're on to make the next ring. When you're done, you should have 2 nice hexagons. You may have some pieces that are a little bit off here or something like that. It's not too bad. I mean, they can be off up to, you know, about 1/8 or something like that on some of the sides. You know, it depends on how twisted your wood is and all that. Out here the wood dries so quickly and twists that it's inevitable you're going to get some of this stuff. So don't worry about it too much, as long as they fit pretty nice and they're pretty similar. If not, take them back apart, try again. On this new stand, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add plywood to the top and the bottom and plates in between the uprights to give it rigidity, to add like a skin to this. And the screws are going to go through the plywood and then into the uprights. So lay out one of your good hexagons on top of pieces of plywood and go ahead and cut them out. You could even use Lawan if you wanted to, if you were able to waterproof it or something like that. After marking, go ahead and cut out your hexagon. Okay, that one's done. Go ahead and make another one just like this using your other hexagon. You know, make sure the plate that you make fits the hexagon you make, just in case one's off a little bit, so you don't have to sand or do anything weird like that. You want them both to be, you know, top notch. What I'm going to do next is I've got my piece of plywood on top of one of my hexagon rings. I'm going to go ahead and add 6 screws around here, just small ones, to tack this on. If you want, you can use regular wood glue, squirt some underneath this if you want it to be really rigid. You can't really use the hot glue because by the time you get around this thing, the glue will already be seizing up all the way around here and drying and all that stuff because it's going to cool off. So just go ahead, use some tight bond underneath here. You could use liquid nails, anything you feel like, if you want to make this almost permanent. So go ahead and tack it down. Now the reason I only put 6 screws in is because when we attach the uprights onto here, we're going to be putting the larger screws right through the plywood down into the uprights. So we're going to attach this skin with another 12 screws on here. So this thing's going to be rock solid. Once you're done attaching the plywood to the top of this hexagon, I put a little bar across the middle on the inside just to keep the plywood from cracking through. And then what I did was I glued the legs on, 17-inch legs, spacers here, all the way around this thing. And now I'm going to go ahead and put screws through the top into each one of the legs. Each Each one of the uprights is placed on the inside of the angle going out, like that. So you just put it right to the corner. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and screw this on. Some of these are going to be a little off, so you just force them into place and then go ahead, glue, and put your screws all the way around. Then you're not going to put the piece of plywood on here. What we're going to do is we're going to reach inside and we're going to attach plywood plates across here. And they're going to be nice wide plates to keep these pieces from racking and twisting. Okay, next step, after you've got the ring attached, go ahead and cut out 6 plates out of plywood. I made them 8.5 inches wide, 10 inches long. So this whole thing is 20 inches from top to bottom with the 17-inch risers on here. So what you do is come in 5 inches and go ahead and attach your plate down. Just center it in here and put some small screws in the edges. If you want, you could even glue these in too. You leave this open so you can rotate it and attach all your plates on. When you're done, you put the large hexagon plywood piece on the top here and just use small screws to attach it. Glue it to liquid nails, whatever. Finish up by putting your cover on and tacking it in there. I'm just going to use 6 screws for right now. And that's it. Plywood top and bottom, small plywood braces in the center, keeping everything from racking. Now you've got one solid object here. And we're going to see what to do with this next. Okay, so now you put your 55-gallon barrel on top of this. And this one's hooked up to my automatic watering system and getting ready to go ahead and set everything up for springtime here. Barrel hangs over just a little bit, just the right amount on each side, and it gives nice support to the barrel. Now let's go ahead and fill the barrel. In my other video I showed this drip irrigation system type thing that I set up here, and what I did was I attached 2 valves here so I can shut the water off going to the irrigation run. Go ahead and open this one up. Water will come in here, go up the elbow, and it'll go right into my barrel, filling it from the bottom up. Go ahead and connect it. Okay, so now I just open up one of the barrel's vent holes. Got our valve open. This is all pressurized. Be back in a couple minutes. Okay, time to shut it off. Okay, with my hose, that 55-gallon drum took 5 minutes to fill. And a gallon of water weighs about 8.35 pounds. So this is holding 459 pounds of water right now, top of this thing. Doesn't even budge. It's nice and sturdy. And I had the other one that wasn't reinforced with the plates sitting out here all winter with this full of water. So, you know, it stayed out here for months. And it was just that little skeleton model right there. So, you can build these kind of little hexagon stands to hold just about anything. You could put a top on one, you could use it as a chair or a stool. Take 4 of them, park a car on top of it. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Hope you enjoyed the video.